Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today, a webinar about the 5 last-minute analytics tips for Black Friday. Some few housekeeping items as we get started. Yes, we are recording this webinar. We'll send you the recording along with the slide deck afterwards. We have time at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat as we go, so we can go through them at the end. There's a Q&A, there's questions panel as well. My email address is on the next and also the last slide, so if you have any additional questions, you can reach out directly to me. And as I go through the webinar, I'm going to refer to some resources, links. They are on the webpage where you registered for this webinar, this webpage. They're also on the email reminder that we sent, and they're also on the last slide of this deck. So you can always go back to these links and access the resources. Okay, so it's a pleasure to be talking to you today. I'm AlOwaish, lead consultant with InfoTrust. I've been working on e-commerce analytics for the past 15 years, and I specialize in complex and cross-platform analytics. I work with big retailers to tell them the story behind their data, especially in heavy campaign season like Black Friday, in which we'll focus about today. A quick overview about InfoTrust. We offer a range of services under digital analytics and measurement, from strategy to measurement planning, architecture, implementation, test and validation, analysis and data insights. We're also certified across several products in the industry, primarily with Google Marketing Platform, and we're also Google Cloud certified partners. We have our own technology called Tag Inspector. It's a proprietary technology to help you with data compliance, data quality, and validation of accurate data collection. This is the agenda for today. I'm going to go through a checklist before we go into the tips, and then kind of review, do an action plan, and then go through the Q&A. I'll be demoing some of the tips on the Google Merchandise Store. This is an actual store for Google where you can buy Google Merchandise swag items for Google and YouTube. The Google Analytics platform is also for the same store, and this is actually publicly available, the analytics for everyone to access. So whatever data I will walk you through today, you can log into their account and see for yourself. The website analytics account, they are in the resources list that I have, in the email and in the resources slide. So, after the slide, if you want to go in and do some of the stuff that we did, you can go into the accounts and do, because they have a lot of data in there. So let's get started. Before I talk about the analytics tips, I want to make sure that we cover a quick checklist on what I'm assuming that's already in place before you go into the Black Friday season. We want to make sure that your analytics configuration have the following, and it's ready to, get on the campaigns. So when I'm assuming that you have a marketing plan, KPIs and targets all outlined for this campaign season, that your UTM tagging is in place. And when I say UTM, anything that's external traffic coming into your website, whether it's email, paid search, all other channels that you use, that they actually have UTM tagging, like source, campaign, medium, all of that tagging in place. So you have the full attribution and view of the data sources that you have. If you're using Google Ads it's already linked and configured with your Google Analytics Search Console as well. So make sure these are well configured and tracking well into your account. We want to make sure that your website is ready to cope with your holiday traffic volume. I noticed that one thing many websites kind of overlook is the readiness of their people and systems to cope with the holiday volume. So make sure you get your operation, your scalability in order, or otherwise you won't have data. Make sure you have a uniform data layer before you go into the season. I have this blog post that I published, in September, and the link is already on the resources about how having a uniform data layer can help you get the right data for your marketing and for your insights. Also, make sure that you have your scripts and your tags validated. We have our own tool called Tag Inspector, and it's a tag auditing platform that helps you with live tag monitoring. Make sure that you have your tag governance is, ready for big campaigns like that. You know what's running on your website. The Tag Explorer is just a Chrome extension to see the tag triggers on any web page while you're on it. So make sure you go through this checklist before you get ready for your campaign season. So let's go through the tips. The first one is check your site speed. According to a recent Harris poll, that 46% of shoppers, they will never return to a slow website. And Google actually mentioned that 53% of visits are abandoned if the mobile site takes more than 3 seconds to load. So really, people get impatient around the holidays, especially when you have new landing pages, new banners, all of these new imagery. You need to make sure that the page is actually optimized and it's not slow. So one of the things we always kind of mention to our client, a lot of people now search on mobile and look into them. So we talk about the AMP pages or the Google Accelerated Mobile pages. AMP is an effort by Google to streamline the page loading speed. So it utilizes an open source framework, and what it does, it's provide better browsing experience for shoppers to boost your ranking on Google search. And I work a lot with mobile pages and tracking those AMP pages. And lots of brands right now are getting on the AMP wagon and make sure that their customers see their pages in a fast and easy way to look them up on search engines. So let's do a little practice of speed here. Let's say I'm on the Google website here shopping for socks, Google socks, and I'm interested to see about the speed of those pages. This is the Google Analytics view. If you go under behavior, under site speed here, there is the overview, which shows you kind of overall metrics about speed, and then how does the average page load time per browser. Now, if you look at the next report here under page timings, this will compare your pages, every URL, and how it compares to your average website. So it doesn't compare it to like overall, it just shows you compared to the average, which pages are faster. So the greens one here are like the faster than average, and the red ones here, which are slower than average. And that's just compared to your website average, not like a benchmark average. The next slide here, I show my favorite report, which is the speed suggestions. The page speed score here indicates the extent in which you can improve the load time of the page. So this is the real stuff. This is where you want to look at. If you have a high score, means you have less room for improvement and your page is doing really good. A low score, that means there is a big room for improvement, and it's not a measurement of speed really. It's just an extent of how can speed on this web page be improved. So if you click on any of these suggestions where you see here 8, 9 total, this tells you how many suggestions are there to actually see if things can be changed to improve this website, to improve this page. I'm going to show you, if you click on one of these, you'll see something like this, where it shows you the actual URL of the page, and this is just the home page of that Google Merchandise Store, and it gives you a score, and the score goes from 0 to 100, with 100 being nothing to improve, 0 is a lot to improve. So their homepage on mobile here has a lot room for improvement. You can toggle between mobile and website here. So if you look at these arrows right here, if you switch here, so you can toggle between mobile and desktop. This is the desktop view. If you see, like on desktop, it's loading much faster than mobile. And the nice thing about this tool is you can just put any URL in here. And once you put that URL in here, you can analyze the page. So let's say you're making this new landing page for Black Friday, new offers, new campaigns. This is where you can put the URL here, analyze the page, and see how much room for improvement. How can you make this page faster loading for your clients, and especially with the impatient client around the holiday. Okay, after the next tip, so capture those who are interested. With the heavy campaign, you're running around Black Friday, you'll get lots of new traffic, which means lots of opportunities. And that's when we think that we have to create conversion goals. And when I say conversion goals, not specifically for like conversion transaction, sometimes you may ask people to sign up for something, or sign up for your newsletter, or get the coupon over your email to get your email address. Now when you track these customers, you want to make sure that you get the conversion log, so you can import these to Google Ads, and you can maybe retarget them later. You can create audiences based on that. This is when you do something like this, like someone is browsing on the store, before you go, get this 25% coupon valid until Christmas. So if they do sign up on this or click here, then mark a conversion and be able to create an act on that later. The next thing is engagement conversion. So with engagement here, you can say if someone actually, had 3 minutes or more on my website, or 5 minutes, that means this is someone who's engaged, who's interested in your product. So you want to mark that as a conversion to be able to import it to Google Ads, for example. If someone, looked at this much pages or screens in your website, they browsed 5 or 6 more pages, then that means it's a good signal they're interested. If they did like a certain event, played a video or anything. So you want to make sure you create a Google Analytics goal so you can measure that and act on it. One of the things you want to do is like a SMART goal. With the SMART goals, it's really a specific kind of goal that you don't have a lot of control on. It's not a specific scenario. The SMART goals basically are set up on the view level, and Google uses machine learning to decide which sessions are expected to convert. So it scores your sessions based on certain measurements, and then it uses the SMART goal to say, okay, these sessions are really highly qualified and they're expected to convert. So you can consider these already a conversion and be able to import them to Google Ads and target them later. Now with SMART goals, there's one caveat, is that not all properties are eligible for it. Basically, if you're eligible, you have to have 500 sessions coming from Google ad clicks. So your clicks have to at least have 500 sessions in the past month to be able to be eligible for using the SMART goals. Now, once you capture these micro conversions, like I said, make sure you import them to Google Ads or any other platforms, so you're able to activate and start targeting these customers based on the behavior that you've done. Now, up to the next tip, we want to create a custom channel grouping, which is for MCF, which is multi-channel funnel reviews or more. So one of the recent trends that's been increasing with online shopping is that customers shop much earlier for the holidays now, kind of shop year round really for gifts, thanks to online retailers and really early offers. So for example, Macy's posted this, Christmas gifts, and you'll see like the tree and the ornaments, and that was posted on November 6th. So customers seeing this, acting on it, looking at the website, browsing, but probably not shopping until later, you will have many touches on the client path before the actual conversion. So you'll see someone actually saw this on Macy's Instagram, then they went to Macy's website and did something there, or got an email from Macy's. So there is a lot of touch points that the customers get before they do that. So with that year-round shopping and kind of anticipation campaigns that the retailers are always running, you want to kind of look at every single touch point and be able to look granular. So you want to have like a customizable view of the customers and their sources to know, and that custom channel grouping, it can be used in multi-channel funnel reports, and I'll walk through it in a bit. You can apply it retroactively, and you see historical data. It's not like filters or the custom channel setup where if you change it, you have to wait for data to come in. No, you can create the setup and you can apply it to any historical report. Basically, you're changing the report's display without changing the actual data. So for example, I may report on this as just social channel. That's any clicks that came from this Macy's is social. Whereas I can go into and say no, it's not social. It's go deeper a level and say Instagram, or say that this is the pre-holiday campaign of Instagram that was on the social. So the goal here is really go granular in your reporting and be able to see all of the touch points in the customer path. So this is back to our Google Shop Analytics. So if we look at here, I'm looking at the conversions and looking at multi-channel funnels to see how the channels interact in terms of assisting each other. And I see, okay, well, social network is doing not so much here, and this is my paid search, organic search, but it's just very high level channel grouping. What I can do here is click here on channel grouping, and I can create my custom channel grouping. My own channel, my own set of granular channels, I would say. And what I always do is usually copy. So you can copy this and edit it. So you don't start from scratch, and it's faster and easier. And once I copy my own, I can customize this. Let's say if I'm on the Google marketing team, I really want to see which conversions came from Google sites and which didn't. So if we see here, I'm looking at referrals, for example, I broke them from non-Google sites and from Google site. For paid search, I want to see how many people came from paid search for Google keywords versus non-Google keywords. Maybe they searched something else other than Google. Same thing for organic. Are they coming through Google, or maybe come from Bing or other search networks? So with this view, I'm able to cut down and kind of slice and dice my channels by my own channel reporting to see how these channels interact. And the nice thing about this is you don't only use it here under the conversions, you can look at it anywhere. So I'm here under the acquisition. When I look at channels, you can just switch it from here, from the primary dimension, and you say, hey, I want this custom channel grouping that I did. So now you look at your channels, with acquisition, behavior, and e-commerce, but you're really looking at your custom view of channels, not the built-in view. And a lot of us go into the channel setup in GA and update it, but that really updates the data, where this does not update the data. It's really just a view that you can switch on and off without changing the actual data. So think of it as like a nice grouping that you can apply, you can look at, and you can customize. For example, if you're running different campaigns in Christmas or New Year's, then you can create another channel grouping and maybe break it by campaign or break it by email if you'd like, to see how these different emails, different campaigns affect each other during the campaign season. Okay. The next step, prepare your Data Studio dashboards. Data Studio is one of my favorite, dashboarding and reporting interfaces. And what I love most about Data Studio is really once you choose a template and you connect your data sources, 95% of your work is done. You can simply connect your Data Studio to marketing platform data, and you're ready. There's no messy kind of data exports, fiddling with charts and building spreadsheets to feed your dashboards. You really just integrate directly with Google Analytics, Search Ads 360, display and video, BigQuery, and there's a lot of connectors there. If you're looking to combine data from different Google Analytics properties, we have this blog post that's written by my colleague Dan, and he shows a quick tutorial on combining data from Google Analytics properties using BigQuery and kind of a quick sheet, actually, a Google sheet to link the data together. And as I mentioned, using templates really, saves you a lot of time and effort. And I want to just show you some templates here from the marketing templates that are already available on Data Studio. Some are ready for display and video, search ads. If you're really an e-commerce store, there's a template for you. If you're into Google Ads or certain just behavior engagement, then this is a nice and easy way to take a template, maybe customize it, change some things, and you're ready to go for the holiday season to report. One of the things I want to ask you, everyone now, is just run a poll and see how do you monitor the performance in the campaign season? Whether you use Data Studio or build your own custom reports, external tools, or it's all ad hoc, just let me know. How do you do the performance and reporting? Okay, I see votes coming in. Interesting answers. I'll give it a few seconds. Okay, 10 more seconds. I see people using Data Studio. That's good news. Okay, let me close the poll and share the results here. So it's nice to have a kind of equal votes between people looking directly in Google Analytics for reports and Data Studio and just ad hoc reporting. And some of this ad hoc reporting usually comes into, you go into Google Analytics and fetch the data. Now, one thing about that is, it's time consuming, and it makes you the analyst as, hey, we need this data. So you're always being asked to pull the data. Whereas Data Studio, it's nice because you can build this dashboard and just, share it with everyone, and they can change the date range, look at the data, compare, certain date ranges, and be able to look at it. So it gives you some freedom, and it gives you some time back as an analyst. Thank you. Okay, so next tip. Actually, the last tip. So test wisely. It is known that the accuracy of test results when you do A/B testing improves when you have more data. So it's very tempting to use that high traffic volume around the holidays, around Black Friday, to maximize test data and get some results. Now, it's important to kind of watch for that opportunity. And I know you want to maximize the test data, but you want to look at, if there's any drawbacks, and you have to be careful kind of whether, if you're testing through the holiday, those spikes in traffic can actually sometimes skew your results and creating some fluctuation in numbers, especially if the audience that you get around the holidays are not your year-round clients. Basically, sometimes the clients you get around the holidays may not be the clients that are there the rest of the year. Let's say you are a gym website. Year round, it's mainly for potential members who are coming to sign up and looking at that. Whereas around the holiday, maybe people are buying gift memberships. So you're getting test results for people who really don't, are not the potential members that you're looking for. So one of the things that a lot of people do is kind of retest their hypothesis again after the holiday season, just to make sure they have consistent results, that their holiday, non-holiday kind of traffic acts the same. It's kind of just a sanity check after. One thing also is, around the holidays, traffic is expensive. If you're testing and most of your traffic is coming through paid search, then sometimes you may wind up with costly traffic to variations that may underperform because of competition. Testing around the holiday could mean you're competing against like huge brand or companies who want that piece of high traffic pie. So the ad cost increase. So it comes with a cost. So keep that in mind. Things that you want to test, which, make sure there is the stuff that you're testing, the elements do not cause a major impact on your, KPIs and revenue, just because there's a lot at stake. So, product placement, images and copy, forms, some CTAs, these are all kind of ways to test some of the things, but not really affect your major, traffic flow or transactions. So you really, around the holidays, make sure that you run tests that you have great confidence in. And partnering with a test expert is a great idea. In this case, our team, at InfoTrust, we're certified with Google Optimize, and we can help you strategize your test if you want to make sure that you have that confidence to bring you the insights that matter to you. And time for another pause. So let's see if someone is actually planning to do some A/B testing around this holiday season. Okay, I see answers coming in. Okay. Almost 50% of the people voted. I'll give it a few seconds. Okay. Let me share the results. So everyone's considering it. That's good. I mean, it's like I said, it's a good chance, it's a good opportunity to test, but make sure that you kind of watch for these drawbacks, make sure you test elements, and make sure you run the test that you have great confidence in. And we're always here to help if you have any questions around that. Okay, so now that we have the tips, let's kind of review and do an action plan. So the analytics tips that we went through today is check site speed. Shoppers are very impatient around the holidays. Capture those who are interested. These are new opportunities. You want to make sure you capture them, you act on them. Create a custom channel grouping. This will give you the granular views for your reporting, and prepare your dashboards. Make sure you get that before the holiday, because you don't want to play catch up when the campaigns are running and you need to look at data. and test wisely. Run those tests with confidence. Your action plan. The one thing is, don't wait. Consider building your dashboards now, like I said. Getting ready, testing these data sources will help you be already in just when the holidays are here, when the traffic is here, you're just looking at insights. You're not fixing the data sources or seeing why the data is not coming through. Think insights and actions, not just insights. So when you look at the data, think, what can you do about it? How can you act on it? How can you retarget those customers? And not just say, okay, this is the trend that's happening, but how can we capitalize on this opportunity? Try to think of that and make sure that when you create your reports, that the outcomes of this report really help you do something with the data. You want to think user journey and not just metrics. And that's where the custom channel grouping kind of come to see the touch points of the client, all the way up to the conversion. So don't look at, someone just came and purchased this. What is the path that he took to convert? This is where you set up all the reporting, all the custom channel groupings and all of that. Lastly, measure what matters. We always try to begin by setting objectives and KPIs to the tracking. And I sometimes like to do a list of what we should track and we should not track, because sometimes you don't want to spend time and resources measuring things that really don't answer any questions. This is the list of resources that I went through today. As I mentioned, this will be available on the slide deck, and it's already been emailed to you. So with that, I will open up for questions. I'm looking at the questions pulled here to see. Okay. So one question says, we talked about the monitoring for campaigns kind of live for the holidays. How about comparing data year over year? That's a good question. So when you create these dashboards, whether in Data Studio or whatever tool that you're using, a lot of them kind of come with compare year over year data. So if you do have the data in the same platform, if you were Google Analytics last year and Black Friday, then it's easy to kind of compare that. If it's not, then this is the time to prepare. Make sure you have those metrics ready. Put them somewhere in the dashboard, even as a text box, to make sure that you can compare. On Black Friday last year, we made this much. This was the conversion rate, and compare year over year. Let's see. The other question is, what about monitoring speed for mobile app screens? Okay, that is a good question. So just like we saw, how do you look at the mobile pages in Google Analytics, for the mobile app screens, for example, if you're using Firebase for tracking, there is the Firebase performance monitoring. And the performance monitoring is really a service to kind of help you gain insights into your iOS app or Android app. It's an SDK that you add to your app, and then you can look at your data. You can see, and not just speed and like loads and all of that, you can also see if there are screens which are, taking much longer than others, screens are crashing or other stuff. So there's a lot of options within the Firebase SDK that once you import it, you're able to track the performance and make sure that the experience for a user is not compromised. Let's see if we have other questions. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming. So, okay, well, thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate you joining our webinar. If you have any questions, my email is on the screen, or you can just fill the poll that I have up right now. And we, get in touch, ask me any question, even if follow-ups. Make sure you go on these resources that I've sent over in the email, and let us know if you have any follow-up questions. Thanks again for your time.